Hey, I'm Teague.
And I'm Sam.
And we are your well-informed girlfriends.
Bringing you today's news, gossip, and unsolicited hot takes. On today's episode, we're talking about the first 100 days of Trump's second term and what's happened.
And we're also talking about how microplastics are pretty much everywhere and how to try to avoid eating them.
Love it. We'll also be breaking down the most recent info on tariffs and the May Day protests.
Oh, and we'll also be talking about some fun stuff as well. And we'll play a little game we like to call Recession Indicator or Not. We'll also be talking about dating coworkers. Is that cool or no? And embracing life in the real world. Okay, we're talking about how to attempt living in the real world. More connected.
We're wellness girlies now, right?
Essentially.
Yeah. Okay, great. All of this and so much more on this week's episode of Well-Informed Girlfriends. Oh, we also know it's annoying to ask, but if you could please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, we would be forever grateful. Leave us some positive reviews on Spotify, whatever.
That would really help us out. And it's free.
And it's totally free. And we'll love you forever. So that's what matters.
That's what matters.
Right.
Okay, let's get into it.
All right. So let's start with the first 100 days of Donald Trump's presidency.
Right.
His second term just reached the milestone.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want a quick breakdown of everything that's happened since he took office for the second time, here's a quick list of things. We're going to just go through rapid fire
through this because there's a lot of things that happen, but it's just easy for us to just blow through.
All right.
Gulf of Mexico, renamed to Gulf of America. DEI programs designed to address the nation's history of racism were scrapped. The Black Lives Matter Plaza, gone. In Washington, D.C., eggs are more expensive.
Oh, cool.
Due to a few things, bird flu is one of them. Anyways.
Transgender student athletes have been banned from playing women's sports, according to an executive order. Gold prices are actually up as people look for a safe haven amid all the market turmoil. Trump's business interests are expanding. I think it's important to note. And he launched a meme coin right before taking office. And his value is soared now. So that's cool. Paper straws are out. Plastic straws are back. And Donald Trump has suggested he might run for a third term despite, a constitutional amendment barring it. His company is selling Trump 2028 hats. So.
Okay, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, there's more that I'm sure we didn't even include, but at some point you just gotta take a beat.
And the thing about it is, and this is why we started the podcast, we just want to be informed. We just want to know what's going on. We give you the headlines. Okay?
Yeah, those are the headlines. And speaking of headlines, we should probably talk about tariffs once again.
Yeah, we really should get down to the nitty-gritty, the most recent stuff going on with the tariffs.
Yeah.
So we actually already may be seeing the effects of tariffs. I actually just went shopping at Zara, and I went for a white t-shirt. And guess how much the white t-shirts are now at Zara?
Like $20. $20?
And they used to be $10 or $9.99 at Zara. Perfect. And that was like my place that I go for my white t-shirts because you can only wear them a few times when you get spray tans religiously.
Fun fact.
I always need new white t-shirts. And now they're so much more expensive. And I actually asked the girl at the register, I was like, hey, do you think this is like anything to do with the tariffs? And she's like, unfortunately, yes, we're already seeing our stock be impacted.
Wow.
So, so it is happening. We have some sound bites that we wanted to play for you guys. Trump actually just recently said this past week that it is okay if tariffs cause a recession in the short term. Take a listen.
Are you comfortable with the country potentially dipping into a recession for a period of time if you are able to achieve your long-term goals?
Well, you say some people on Wall Street say, well, I like to tell you something else. Some people on Wall Street say that we're going to have the greatest economy in history. Why don't you talk about them? Because some people on Wall Street say this is the greatest thing.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at, though. It's the same question.
Yeah, there are many people on Wall Street say this is going to be the greatest windfall ever happened.
And that's my question.
Remember
the long term.
Yeah.
Is it okay in the short term to have a recession?
This. Look, everything's okay. What we are, I said, this is a transition period. I think we're going to do fantastically.
And as you may have guessed, Trump's tariffs have already impacted how a lot of people are buying, and therefore shipping has also been affected.
That makes sense.
So the view at the U.S. ports looks a lot different. So usually the U.S. ports are full of imports. It looks a little different. Who did a story here?
CBS News did a story. They spoke to the executive director of the Port of Los Angeles, and they are expecting a drop in cargo volume of more than a third starting on Monday. So here's what he had to say.
What is the ripple effect going to look like for consumers of a drop in 35%?
Less selection and probably higher prices. If you're going out looking for that specific item, retailers are telling me they've got about 5 to 7 weeks of normal inventory levels remaining. If we don't get the crafting of a framework deal in place with trading partners, that could lead to fewer shipments coming in and less choice on the shelves and online buying platforms.
We also want to mention that a certain tax loophole known as de minimis imports, minimis, I'm not actually sure how to say this.
I like mini-me's.
I like mini-me's. We're going with that. That made buying affordable goods from China for the past decade, it's been officially closed. And so let me explain. Basically, for nearly a century, federal law has carved out inexpensive goods known as de minimis or minimis.
Like little
Little babies.
trinkets.
Little babies
Little
from
trinket
import
things.
taxes. Basically, the threshold was like $1 until like 1978, and then they made it $5 and then $293. But then like 10 years ago in 2016, Congress made it $800. And this is important because, as you may have guessed, that opened the proverbial Chinese shipping floodgates, and that's how all of us started getting all of our stuff from Amazon and that sort of thing.
And Shein,
Temu, all of those guys. So 4 million packages a day entered the U.S. last year with no custom inspection and no duties paid. So that changed Friday when the latest measure unraveling trade between the two countries took effect. Most packages from mainland China and Hong Kong are now subject to tariffs, even if they're worth less than $800.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that means prices are for sure going to go up.
prices are going to go up and no more little not free, but no more cheap little trinkets.
Right.
Now our trinkets are going to be more expensive trinkets.
So we're just going to all have to become minimalists, I guess. Is the
And you know what? That is honestly probably something we should be doing anyways, especially with all of the plastic that we're putting into the environment. Like, it really is smart to be a minimalist in this, especially in this economy.
Yeah.
Come on.
I got to be honest. My now husband was like, this is going to be great for you financially. Like, you just are going to not be allowed to buy any stuff. And I was like, okay, wow. Haters going to hate.
Yeah.
Haters always trying to bring me down. And by that, I mean the man I married. But it's fine.
No, it will be good. We're going to talk about microplastics a little bit here too.
Yeah.
And that is probably...
It's probably for the best.
It's probably for the best for us to be a little bit minimalist for 5 minutes.
Hopefully
But,
it's only 5 minutes because everything else will be
That is
impacted
crazy.
too.
Well, are you stocking up on anything because of the tariffs?
You know, not really. I feel like we'll be able to weather the storm okay. And I was kind of saying I should buy fewer things for sure. I
Mhm.
think I kind of got, especially with the wedding, I feel like I got really into the whole capitalist trap. Consumerism trap. And so for me, I was like, well, no, but there are certain things, like I've been meaning to buy one of those things that cuts the candle wicks for like, I don't know.
Yeah, of course.
Well, yeah, because like when would you buy that? That's a
Right.
stupid purchase. But
Yeah.
I'll be honest,
Trinket.
I ordered it last night because I was like, well, I better buy this now while it's still like $10 or whatever versus when it's going to be like 50.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Very
I know.
stupid. Who doesn't need a thing that cuts the candle wicks? Like, duh.
Right. Well, we talked last week about like some people were stocking up on like iPhones or electronics.
Or like
before.
rich people were buying like Whirlpool dishwashers or whatever just because they can before the
prices hike even higher.
Exactly.
It is pretty crazy. Wow. Okay, this next story, do you want to take it over? It's May Day protests happened across the U.S.
Yeah, so there were more than 1,000 demonstrations as part of the 50501 movement. Is it 50501? I don't know how we're saying it. I keep seeing it on the internet, so what are words? But basically, it was protesting Donald Trump's policies on labor rights, immigration, and education specifically. There were rallies everywhere, including here in Los Angeles. Massive turnouts. Bernie Sanders spoke at a rally in Philly. He also like rolled up to Coachella.
Yeah, I was actually lucky enough to see Bernie Sanders speak at Coachella.
You did?
It was incredible.
What was the vibe? Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the vibe at Coachella is like so like everybody's like light and fun, and all of a sudden it was like you're listening to Bernie Sanders talk and you're not raving anymore. But it was actually pretty inspiring. He was basically just talking about, like how we all have to come together and all of us are on, a lot of us are, want change. And if we want change, then we have to be the change. And I think it was pretty inspiring to hear him. And I think honestly, like, admirable for him to come meet people where they are, because you've seen a lot of like Trump and JD Vance are going on like Theo Vaughn's podcast, like, and Joe Rogan's podcast, and they're really meeting people where they are and like listening their audiences. And so I think it's really smart for Bernie and AOC to start getting out there and like talking to people where they are. Because they, for a long time, I think they were avoiding those mainstream media outlets. And now, you know, Theo Vaughn is like breaking news, which is hilarious. Mark Zuckerberg was just on Theo's podcast, and I think it's like our media landscape is changing so much. So I thought that was really cool. But anyways, these May Day protests sound like they made some sort of impact. But it's like, at the same time, I think it's good to have protests because it obviously proves that we're all like working together and like want change. But I think, you know, we also have to see some policies be made. So
For sure. I mean, and that all remains to be seen. Speaking of policies, the Trump administration did announce their budget proposal for the upcoming season. And here's what's going on. Here's what's happening in that.
So
the administration. Oh, sorry, you go ahead.
No, it's okay. Well, let's break down exactly what's being cut, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
what in this proposal, here are a few things that they are proposing cutting. Medicaid and CHIP. So CHIP is the Children's Health Insurance Program, which provides health insurance to approximately 6 million low-income children. That is facing a 19% funding cut. The budget also proposes a $1.6 trillion reduction in Medicaid over the next decade, which could result in nearly half of Medicaid recipients losing coverage by 2027, which is actually a little bit scary because, like, what does a world look like where that many people can't get health insurance? Like, we just have sick people that don't have coverage. Like, that's actually really scary because then, like, what happens, right?
I mean, like, if I had to guess, I think it would mean that everybody else who does have insurance would have their rates go up because as hospitals and doctors have more people that they treat that can't pay, the prices of everybody else's will be increased, I would guess.
That makes sense in an economics point of view, but also, like, I think about, like, if there's a big sickness, like, and a bunch of people can't get coverage, then, like, what happens? Even the people that are insured are also affected because it's like, we're all sick. People are sick. That's just like, it sounds very scary to me.
Very dystopian, for sure.
Very dystopian. SNAP benefits are also under fire here. The budget suggests a $193 billion cut to SNAP over the next 10 years.
Because who needs food in a recession?
Yeah, so SNAP is basically the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. So that's like in schools or the elderly that helps feed those people. So that's interesting.
That's something. They're also proposing shrinking federal education department by slashing its funding by 15%. That's $12 billion. The most significant chunk of that reduction would be from K through 12 schools. The other significant cuts would come from federal work-study programs, a program for college students with financial needs, services to help immigrant students become English speakers, adult ed services, and preschool development grants. So that's a lot. Oh, and Howard University. It would cut $64 million from Howard, which is like a HBCU.
Yeah, an iconic HBCU.
Yeah, the most iconic maybe. Nope, don't come for me in the comments.
One of the most. It's also and the last thing that they're proposing in that budget, in housing and social services, so 15% cut to the Department of Housing and Urban Development in that proposed budget. So remains to be seen exactly what happens, but those are the proposed budget cuts right now, and we'll see what what actually goes through and how that affects us. I guess it's just one of those things we'll have to keep our finger on the pulse of.
Oh, we should mention that the Pentagon's budget is going up 13% to over $1 trillion.
Right. And a lot of that is like because of like national defense, right?
Yeah, always.
National defense increasing. Okay, the New York Times just released a new story about microplastics. That is our next story. And it's not a chipper story, but it's something we really like to talk about. It's something I feel very passionate about.
I would say it's one of our hyperfixations.
It's one of our hyperfixations because we just learned that most of our clothes are, in fact, like nylon and rayon and polyester, which is essentially microplastics. And we just learned like when you hug someone, so say you and I hug right now and we are both wearing clothes with microplastics in them, like little tiny particles of microplastics are released into the air and then you breathe them in.
Cool.
Anyways, we have become obsessed with this idea of microplastics. So the New York Times just did a story about microplastics essentially being everywhere, and these nanoplastics and these teeny tiny pieces of plastic have been found from anywhere from drinking water to chicken nuggets, apples, broccoli, like our food.
The fish you eat, like everything. And it's
Yeah.
not good because it's linked, like all of it is linked to different illnesses like heart disease, lung disorders, and whatnot. They say you have like 2 spoonfuls of microplastics in your brain already if you're like an adult in America.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah. So anyways, they did a story about ways to reduce your exposure. So a few things they said, and some of them sound obvious.
Yeah.
But first of all, cut back on bottled water. A lot of us are already trying to do that and like using reusable containers or using glassware. Another one is get an NSF certified water filter. So that is basically just a water filter that like filters out those microplastics or tries to. What else are they saying? Oh, avoid storing food in plastic. I'm always harping on my parents about this. Like, please do not put your food in these plastic containers.
Oh
there
my
are
gosh,
ways
no.
now to put it in like glass or whatever.
Yeah.
But then on that same note, if you are putting your food in plastic, do not, and I repeat, do not heat up your food in plastic because obviously little tiny pieces of nanoplastics and microplastics break off into your food and then you end up consuming it, and that's how it gets into your body and bloodstream.
Lovely.
Yeah. Anyways, also try to avoid using single-use plastics for food and drink. Wash plastic by hand. I just don't even try to mess with plastic. What else are they saying? Oh, use wood or bamboo cutting boards. That's another thing. Cutting boards, if you're cutting onto a plastic cutting board, little pieces of microplastics end up getting into the food that you are cutting on that cutting board. And I think those are their top things. Oh, clean your air.
Yeah, like air filters.
If you've got an air filter, that's really helpful to avoid microplastics. And, if you have kids, you have to really obviously be even more cautious of all that stuff. So anyways, interesting, just tips, things to remember in this plastic world we are now living in.
What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive. Oh, wait. Okay, now this is going to bring us to a fun game that we are introducing this week. And it is called, is that a recession indicator or do we have a problem?
Incredible.
Is this a recession indicator or not? Okay, we're going to go through these rapid fire.
Sweet.
And we're going to see.
Okay.
Drinking alone, recession indicator or not?
I feel like that's a recession indicator.
That is a recession indicator.
Yeah, we can't be held accountable for our actions.
No, and I actually feel like I have called you a few times and been like, can I come over to have wine with you? Because I don't want to be drinking alone.
That's
and
fair.
I would like to be supervised, but this does feel like a recession indicator.
I am happy to supervise your wine drinking
Yeah.
and or also drink wine with you.
Okay, shopping more, recession indicator?
It depends on the shopping. Like big ticket items, that was not a recession indicator. You just have money. But if you're buying more little trinkets, like sadness purchases, like a lipstick, for example.
Yeah.
Classic recession indicator.
Yeah. Okay, crying more, recession indicator?
Yes. But we also might have a problem.
Yeah. Some of these can both be true.
Porque no los dos,
Yeah.
right?
Dating for food. Recession indicator?
Recession indicator. Listen,
Yes.
that's what your girl was doing in 2009 for sure. I called them girls gotta eat meals.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. Love you though.
Desire to restart our lives. Recession indicator? Yes.
Yes. But I also feel like I am always ready to move to Portugal. Like just any day. Let me know. If anyone wants to go in on like a hippie commune there, I'm available.
Thrift stores becoming more popular. Recession indicator?
Yes. For sure. But I also will say I think a lot of us are trying to be greener about our purchases. So I'll buy stuff on Poshmark or at a thrift store just because I'm
Also-
like trying to not increase textile waste.
And here's the problem. Their prices are going up too.
I
Thrift
know.
store prices are also going up because more people are trying to shop at the thrift stores, which means their demand is increasing, which means prices are going up.
Which means recession indicator.
Recession indicator. This is a question. Kesha and Lady Gaga are back. Recession indicator? Yes.
That's clear. Recession pop. Like, that's what it is. Like, we're ready, though. I mean, honestly, those are bops. So,
Okay,
cool.
final question. Wanting to spend more time with your mom. Recession indicator? Yes.
That's what I was doing in 2009 for sure.
Yeah, that's a recession indicator for sure.
Yeah, for
Stress
sure.
and anxiety, recession indicator? Yes.
But also, we might have a problem.
But also, we might have a problem.
Oh my God. It's fine.
All right. We're going to get into some fun stories.
We're
some
doing
lighter,
amazing.
fun stories, okay? Because there are some fun things happening in the world.
Yes. Okay. I love this one. There's a new conversation online. And by love, I mean a little bit hate, but it's fine. You'll see what I mean. There's a new conversation online about men giving engagement rings to their partners to, quote, just shut them up.
Oh. Yeah. And what are they calling it, Sam?
They're calling them shut up rings.
I'm dead.
I know. Is that good or bad? Is that also a recession indicator? Could
That's
go
a
either way.
recession indicator, first of all.
They're like, listen, I have to split these bills. Like,
Yeah,
here's a
recession
ring.
indicator.
Don't leave me during a recession.
A shut up ring. That's hilarious. I mean, I feel like we've been seeing shut up rings since the dawn of time when women
sure.
just like hold a gun to their partner's head and say, we're doing this or not. Yeah. I think that's a shut up ring. No, I think that's really funny.
Is it bad for women?
I don't want to know. If I'm getting a shut up ring, I don't want someone to be like, this is a shut up ring.
Yeah, don't tell me.
No. I want someone to code it in like, you're my partner.
Love you for life.
You're my person. Don't say shut up ring. Just say I love you.
Just be like, I love you. Don't let me know that this is a shut up ring. That's terrible. And don't post about it online where my friends will see either.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Okay, so our next story is The Knot did a story about people dating their coworkers, which I also ask, is that a recession indicator?
Potentially. Is everything a recession indicator?
Yes.
Yes.
But anyways, The Knot did a story about people starting to date their coworkers now more than ever. I don't know, 10%. They did this data and they looked at, and they came up with the fact that 10% of married people in 2024 say that they met their spouse at work. And when it comes to meeting your spouse at work, it seems like that age didn't come into play at all. I don't know. In 2023, 13% of people 35 and up experienced one of the biggest benefits of dating a coworker, finding their life partners. Okay. So I don't know.
So if you're older, you're more likely to meet somebody at work?
That's what it sounds like from this data.
Gotcha.
Anyways, there is some specific etiquette when it comes to dating a coworker. Let's talk about it. Okay. First of all, keep things personal and professional and separate. And don't let your relationship affect your work performance. These feel very basic.
Yeah.
Don't involve coworkers in your relationships. Okay, so that's interesting. So if you're dating, I mean, here's the thing, like if I'm ever dating a coworker, like everyone's going to know because like I have such a big mouth.
Oh yeah, I can't keep any secrets. Please never trust me with secrets.
Yeah.
I'm like
everyone's going to know, unfortunately.
Yeah, immediately. I'll be like, "Oh, let me tell you all about it."
I do think it's kind of fun. Like I think I've never dated a coworker, but I think it would be kind of fun.
You've never dated a coworker?
No, but it sounds really fun because it feels like a little secret that everybody like nobody knows. Like that makes things exciting. Did you date a coworker?
Oh my gosh. Well, newsrooms are just incestuous, frankly. And so like, yeah, I've dated several coworkers.
Really? That's hilarious.
It's terrible.
Does it go bad at the end?
Obviously.
It doesn't work out?
Oh yeah, for sure. It does not go well.
Really?
I actually would not recommend it, frankly. It's like a very uncomfortable situation when you break up.
Really? Because then it's like you have to talk to HR about it?
Well, it depends on how upfront you were with
Serious
HR initially. You have to like see them around, even if you just work in the same physical building, not even in like the same team or anything. You still have to see them around. It's awkward.
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly cannot endorse. Like, does not get the stamp of approval from me. Because I was like, I've done it a few times and it's always been un desastre. Like,
yeah,
just
that's
truly
hilarious.
so chaotic. And everybody knows. And it's so embarrassing. Ugh, I don't know. Can't recommend.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I do think it sounds kind of fun. I think it's like something I'd like to check off my bucket list.
Okay.
But I do see the danger in it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, especially if you like work in close proximity, it's like, oh my God, now I have to see you in the hallways. Or like, God forbid, we get in an elevator together with other people. And then other people are like, you know, I think I would overthink it. I'd be like, oh my God, do they know?
Yes. No, you will, because I did.
And by the way, when I say like, would they know? Like they would know because I would have told them.
Yes, for sure. And then people are looking at you like eyebrow raise. And
Yeah,
you're like,
they're like,
ah!
what are you gonna do here?
It's so awkward.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really uncomfortable. But like you work in a really big building with like a bunch of people that are different even companies. So maybe it would be less weird if it were just somebody in your building like that. But like newsrooms are generally like the whole building is like
the same building in the same room, essentially.
Right. And so it's like, oh my God, you're always there and you're always seeing them. It was really awkward. Anyways, back to
Yeah, but it does. I think like the initial idea of it, like the fun, like
it is
in the
sexy and fun
like,
at the beginning.
a little flirty, like hey, like that sounds like fun.
Yeah, and like when no one knows initially before like the 5 minutes that you've waited to tell everyone,
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God, how cute, we have a little secret.
Yeah, like that sounds fun. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so our last story is kind of a part of an ongoing series that is like kind of correlating with this whole social media detox that I'm doing on the side. Embracing life in real life, embracing life more like IRL, getting off of our devices and back into the real world. And so we're kind of like trying to have that be an ongoing conversation because I feel like the world is getting so overwhelming, and like watching news and just like being dialed in all the time is like feeling like a lot. It's feeling kind of heavy. So there are a few things that I am trying to do and implement into my life. And Sam, I know you're trying to be a little bit more present as well because you are now married and you're like living this new life.
Oh, mostly it's that I don't work in news anymore. So I'm not sitting on a computer 8 to 10 hours a day reading every single headline that comes through. I mean, I'm reading all of them for this podcast, to be clear.
But do you think that's like helpful for your mental health?
I think yes and no. It's like I don't want to say the least informed I've ever been, but I do feel like it's harder for me to catch up after the work day. Yeah. So and now I see how a lot of people struggle, I think, with that because I'm like, oh, I missed that news, or my husband will come in and be like, oh, hey, like, did you see XYZ happen? I'll be like, no. Whereas before he would come in and be like, did you see XYZ happen? I'd be like, yes, I wrote the article.
Yeah.
So now, I do think it is helpful, maybe for my mental sanity, but it is hard to stay informed. I think that it made me realize the importance of this podcast even more too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so there's a few things I've been trying to do, which sound very basic, but I do think have really helped my mental health. I am really being proactive about planning in-person hangs and actually doing them.
For sure.
In LA, it is especially easy to flake on people. Because it's actually sometimes preferred. It's like, oh, thank God. Like, we don't have to do it. We had this, like, dinner plan, but neither of us want to do it. It's, like, been a long work day or whatever. But now I'm, like, sticking to things. I'm putting them in my calendar. Calling friends and family more, which I know isn't in real life, but it is actual real communication and real response, which I think helps.
Instead of just like sending them a meme that made you think of them.
Right, exactly.
That is my love language, but I do feel like I should call my friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Putting away my phone in social settings has made a big difference in like public spaces. And I think like one thing that I've noticed is when I do that, when I put my phone away in public spaces, like sometimes it'll be like disappointing because like everybody else is on their phone, but something funny will happen where other people notice that subconsciously and they put their phone away too.
Yeah.
And like I really do think it's a ripple effect. And I think if we can start to do that in social settings and like take some responsibility and like just see if we can make some sort of change in our little spots, it does make a big difference and people start to like open up and talk more.
For sure. We actually, my friends when I lived in Knoxville, we used to play this game where we would put all the phones in a pile in the middle and whoever looked at their phone first had to buy the next round.
Oh, I love that.
So if you want to steal that, try and get some drinks out of your friends. Drinks were cheaper then. This is 10 years ago.
Like a penny.
Yeah, I wish they were
penny beer.
That was penny pitchers at Mizzou. That was 10 plus years ago.
It was amazing. I think it also just like trying new things. We did a breathwork class.
We did.
The other day.
Really fun. Actually, I felt very calm afterwards, which I feel like I go into those things with not trepidation, but what's the word? A little dubiously.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was good.
Breathwork is amazing because you think you know how to breathe because you do it every day inherently.
All day long.
but when you do it in like a breathwork setting, it really is interesting because you are doing like methods of breathing that you don't typically do, or like you're breathing deeper than you typically do. Like it's usually a lot of like shallow breath all day long.
Yeah.
But when you're in breath work and they like have you hold or whatever, like it really makes a big difference. So if you have a chance to do that.
For sure. And like you can just find a YouTube link and watch
Oh,
it.
right.
You don't have to go to a physical class
yeah,
like
you're right.
we were in.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's like an easy thing to do for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah. I mean, like I think being more mindful is like what's gonna help with getting through the recession. We've been joking about drinking. Don't become an alcoholic. But
No.
also we can't afford to do that at this junction. So
Yeah. Right.
But, like,
Also, a recession indicator.
Also, a recession indicator is watching YouTube links for workouts and breath work, but it's fine. Like,
it's fine.
Like I do recommend that, and that's what I
Yeah.
was doing a lot during the last recession.
Literally. Okay, well, this has been a really fun week. I'm glad that we got on. It was really nice to chat with you guys. Thank you for joining us. And we would, again, love you forever if you liked and subscribed. And left a comment.
Leave
we
a
would
comment.
love to get
Even
in
if
the
you,
comments.
well, maybe if you didn't like it, don't leave a comment. I was gonna say you could give us constructive criticism, but like only constructive, okay, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm emotionally too vulnerable at this junction in my life for haters. Okay,
But we hope you have a great week, and we will talk to you guys next week.
bye.